Carrie Michael. This is my friend Dan Robinson. Dan is with, Dan is here with a company called New Harvest Creative. You may have heard of them. They are an Arkansas production company that's focused on fostering local filmmakers and projects. With a combined 50 years of production experience, the NHC team helps filmmakers accomplish their goals with pragmatic approaches and proven methods. With award-winning short films, television pilots, mini-docs, commercials, documentaries, and a feature film under their belt, NHC works to provide opportunities for Arkansas-based creators to find their place in the growing Arkansas production ecosystem. Thank you so much, Johnny. So we're here to talk about that. We're here to talk about New Harvest Creative and what you all do, and also, kind of a little bit of your thoughts on the broader Arkansas film ecosystem in general. So without further ado, please welcome Dan Robinson.
It's an honor and a privilege to be here. I really appreciate it. And this is one of the things I enjoy the most, is having the opportunity to talk about and reflect and, plan and look to what has worked and what is happening in the future and all of those things. But should we start at the beginning?
Great, let's start at the beginning. Tell us about your background.
I was born in 1980.
I'm a Sagittarian.
That's right. I started this journey as a composer. My bachelor's degree is in music composition from the University of Missouri in Kansas City's Music Conservatory. So I wanted to write music, and I knew I wanted to write music for media. And so I got a composition degree. I became a resident composer at a theater company and had the opportunity to start working on multimedia stuff, and then of course was getting into scoring stuff. And then as I scored things and dropped it off with my editing friends, and I saw them working in a non-linear editor, it was like, this looks just like my DAW, so I might as well learn how to edit. And then I learned how to edit. It was like, all right, well, I might as well learn how to shoot since I know how to edit. And so I learned how to shoot, and then all of that kind of culminated in me having a skill set to be able to communicate with the people that I was working with, which I feel like is very important. But ultimately, I found that my skills as a composer translated to being a producer. If I can get 80 people in an orchestra on the same page to make a piece of art with all of them doing their respective specialties, then that is what it is to manage a film crew and a film production. It's getting a whole bunch of details together, getting it all right, and making that perfect moment where you get the art that you're hoping for, even though all the variables are in your way. You're doing everything you can to successfully pull off a piece of art. So I found that my compositional skills translated into being a producer, and that's how I started my production journey. In 2012, I had the opportunity to take over Fayetteville Public Television. And I've been running Fayetteville Public Television since then, and that is a really unique resource. And to me, it was the closest thing to, I just cannot say enough about Jen Gerber and Inception to Projection. They have done incredible work in this state, giving people opportunities. And FPTV is that in Northwest Arkansas. We offer classes in video production, the equipment you can check out like a library book, and whatever you produce, we put on television. And so that gave me the opportunity to start saying yes to a whole lot of things. Just the resources were there. And then being involved with the Fayetteville Film Fest. I've been the technical director of the Fayetteville Film Fest since 2011. So the Fayetteville Film Fest and FPTV, and then through radio, the other mediums, I love being like having a watchtower. I love knowing who's producing what, where, for how much. And then through film festivals, through FPTV, I have the opportunity, people come to me and say, hey, I'm thinking about producing this, and then I'm able to look at the big picture. And that's the part that I enjoy the most. For me, it's looking at a project when it's a seed, and then making sure that it's got plenty of room to grow the way it's supposed to, and then making sure it gets finished. So many projects don't get finished. They run into obstacles. And so the more we're able to plan on the front side, the more we're able to guarantee success. So fast forward to 2018, I embedded with Rock Hill Studios. I was Rock Hill Studios VP of Commercial Production. I wanted to see how, because they were making movies. They are the company who has made the most feature films in the state. So I wanted to know what they were doing and how. And that's how I learned about the whole ecosystem of outside producers coming into the state, spending, $1 million or more to have their movie made here, and Arkansas provides the crew, right? So there is a great little, an amazing team of Arkansas crew members who make it possible for these outside producers to roll into our state, take advantage of our incentive, and have really qualified crew to work with. And I saw that model, but what I saw was missing was the support for Arkansas creators. Those are all outside people coming in with their movies already written, and then they shoot their movie and they take it somewhere else for post-production. Very often, they didn't even want to admit they were in Arkansas. They were like, no pictures, no, you can't, Meanwhile, Justin Long and, they're posting, oh, I'm at the Fayetteville Square and having a great time. Whole crew was under an NDA, like you're not allowed to talk about this. So
I had no idea that they were that, okay, all right, what's that about?
They want people to think they shot their movie in LA or in, somewhere else, and what they're doing is showing up with a movie and saying it's amazing, and there can be a shadow that gets cast if you're like, I shot my film in Arkansas. So it's just part of it.
That is something else.
It is.
So, but you're absolutely right about, when we think about Arkansas film production, a lot of the scenario you're describing is what a lot of people think of. Like, we have beautiful locations and people come in and they take advantage of that and they hire, some crew here. They may hire some on-screen talent here, and then they split. So, kind of, was that the impetus for you to start doing what you're doing the way that you're doing it?
Yes. My partner, Chris Katrosh, is the other half of New Harvest Creative, and he's Little Rock based now. So we have offices in Little Rock and in Northwest Arkansas. Excuse me. Chris had a ton of experience in the gaffing and production world. I had my whole world of post-production because I was a composer. Post-production is where I like to jam. And Chris likes to jam in the production world. And I love pre-production too. So we had the opportunity to work on a film called Animal together that Russell Sharman wrote and directed. And I don't know if you saw that when it came out on the circuit, but when we worked together on Animal, Chris and I figured out that our skill sets really complemented each other. And around that time, I left Rock Hill and knew that I wanted to create a company that would facilitate and foster Arkansas creatives. So if you've got an idea, we can help you figure out how to make that idea into a reality. Because it's tough when you have everybody's got great ideas, right? But what is the process? And a producer hat it's its own unique hat. There are so many disciplines in this field. When you tell people you're a filmmaker, that is such a broad statement, right? I mean, does that mean that you do all of it or you do some of it? And so figuring out the disciplines, I absolutely encourage people to be multidisciplinary. You have to be multidisciplinary to pull this off. But also know the lane that you really enjoy doing so that it doesn't always feel like work. And there's gonna be parts of this that suck your soul. I mean, it's like, I gotta raise money, and I gotta go ask people to support and I gotta ask this grumpy person for a location because it's the perfect location, and I've gotta try to make them smile by the end of this shoot. And so, I mean, there's just so much that's going on that is very difficult. So I would say that knowing the big picture and knowing your lane and surrounding yourself with people that have complementary skill sets is the key to getting something finished. And the more experienced the people are now at this point, since I've been producing in Northwest Arkansas for over a decade, I can make a phone call and get locations. I can get a picture card. I can get a horse on your set. I produced Blood on the Risers during the pandemic with Rock Hill Studios, and that was the most ambitious short I've ever worked on. $35,000 budget for that short. We had planes, trains, and automobiles, and we shot it during the pandemic. And 0 infections, totally smooth, 14-person crew, really powerful piece, and we've had the opportunity, I've seen how it can be done well. And so then there are shortcuts. You don't have to spend 35 grand on your short, but I recommend that you spend between $5,000 and $15,000 on your short. You should not spend more than $15,000 on your short. That's highly irresponsible. But more, like I would say, the more you have to work with, and really resourcing your short allows you to produce something that's actually going to make an impact on more of a national or international level. So, but there's a process to that, to raising the money, to getting the idea, getting a community around the idea. There are people who are going to want to support it. And then you're able to pay the people who are working on your short. We all love collaborating and working together, but at the end of the day, we all also have to pay rent and eat.
It's an industry.
It's an industry. And the economic impact, the reason that everybody, jumps through hoops for the big film people is because they're rolling in and spending between $1 and $13 million on a project. And so the economic impact is huge. The Olsberg study came out great. It's practically a 4-to-1 return for the state when it comes to the incentive. So, but again, we don't touch the incentives. As independent producers, we don't have the opportunity to qualify for the state dollars that are available to help people produce stuff. So I think the more we're able to help quantify the economic impact of short films, the easier it's going to be for us to advocate support for short films as part of the incentive.
Yeah, okay. We had a short conversation about this earlier, but I think there's definitely a perception, I think it's a well-earned perception, that in the state, as is evidenced by this festival, we have a really robust independent filmmaking community. And it gets more robust all the time as we meet each other and start viewing each other's work and working on each other's work. But it's sort of like there's that bucket of filmmaking, and then there's the tax incentive, bigger budget, people that come in and then they leave, and never the twain shall meet. Right. So, tell us how y'all's work is bridging that.
So we do see some cool projects from the crew, like when the crew, the Arkansas crew, isn't working on the big features, every once in a while they'll all get together and shoot something fun. So that is, I would say, a boon. It's nice, but for us, I would say that it's important for people to be fostering their skills, building their portfolios, and creating things. The more things you create, the better it's going to be. And the thing that I see most often is people get passionate about a project, and then they kind of get pigeonholed on that project, and they don't work on other things while they're working on that project. I would say it's super important to be working on everything you can all the time. Collaborate with people. Hop onto this project this way and that project that way. And that's how I have 4 films in this festival. I'm going to have 5 films on the circuit next year, because I am filling different roles on different projects. I'm not responsible completely for any one of them, but I'm empowering those teams and setting them up for success. So that is, I would say, how people can, interact with, and we want more crossover between the two, but in the grand scheme of things, they're 2 very different animals. There is the crew that is running around and, jumping through the hoops, and they're working on King Snake right now.
Yep.
There's those people, right? And it's super cool, but when you talk to those people, they don't have as much fun as we do. I mean, we're out there having a good time with our friends. We get to make cool things. We get to screen them together. I talk to the crew on a regular basis. I know and love so many of them. And they're just like, oh, we had the most brutal day. We couldn't please anybody. They were pissed about everything. They fired everybody and rehired everybody. I mean, it's just like...
Be a filmmaker, they said.
Out-of-town producers
It'll be fun.
just they don't care, and they took away our lunch, and we're working French hours. And it gets brutal in that world, and people are okay. But one of the philosophies for me that I've developed over the last 10 years is I don't want to have to suffer while I'm making my art. Like, you don't have to suffer for your art, like real suffering. I mean, of course it's uncomfortable. But I mean, you don't. There are people who are like, we're going to go into production and it's going to be brutal and we're here for it. And it's like, okay,
like, why?
But you don't have to, like especially now. The thing we are working on really hard is day for night. The moment we can really effectively pull, and we can at this point, we're pulling off some really clean day for night, which means no more overnight shoots. Overnight shoots are one of the most dangerous things you can do as a production company. Overnight shoots are dangerous. Just remember that. But at around 4 a.m., everyone's tripping. I mean, everybody was super fresh at 7 p.m. when we got on set, and we're working, and then we're doing the thing, and then we're getting in the grind, and then everybody's hitting the craft table around 2 a.m., and they're like, man, I'm kind of dragging, but I still got this. But between 4 and 6 a.m., the chances of someone getting hurt are much greater, and the performances you're getting out of your actor. I mean, come on, your actors are in this weird reverse schedule, and they're trying to, I would say you're gonna get a better product if you take care of your people. And that's something that Chris and I absolutely agreed on right out of the gate was, we're not gonna grind people into the ground and tell them that's earning your stripes in the film industry. We're gonna make it so that we can all show up and be healthy and have a work-life balance and care for each other and make sure that everybody's performing their best, because that's what's gonna give us the best end product.
What a concept. Fun on a film set. But truly, as we have more and more conversations, and I know, in the creative space and in kind of the professional videography and commercial space, AI is just clear cutting everything. And so I think among the creative community, there's sort of a split between those who are like, we welcome our new overlords, and then those who are, are flipping back in the other direction and saying, authenticity or nothing at all. Do you have, I don't suppose you have any thoughts on that?
I do have thoughts on that.
Lovely. We would love for you to share.
I'm gonna date myself here. I was a musician when MIDI showed up.
Okay.
And when MIDI showed up, physical players were like, this is gonna cost us our, no one's gonna hire a violin player anymore. Now they can use MIDI and a synthesizer, and they don't need violin players anymore. And I was like, no, we still really need violin players. This just makes it so that I'm able to compose for violin without having to write notes on paper. This makes my process faster. It's a tool. AI is a tool. Use it as a tool. It's only the overlord if you're asking it to do the creative work, and it can't. We all know what the slop looks like. And it doesn't, you got 6-finger people in your movie. So, it doesn't work yet. And even when it does, it's still gonna require your awesome ideas. So you just grab it by the tool instead of being afraid of it, and have it do the things that it can do as far as administration and research and all that sort of stuff are incredible. Visual, VFX punch-ups now with AI, it's not that we're generating the whole thing with AI, it's that we're plugging it in and we're removing that barn that we didn't want. What an amazing, that would have cost so much money and taken so much time 2 years ago. And now you just pop it in, and 10 minutes later, and some fresh water. Then you've got your product. So I was reflecting with someone the other day that it's so sad that when we come up with these amazing things like the automobile and the AI, that all of a sudden it has to use these natural resources. We don't want that. Can't we have the version that doesn't use fresh water? We can't come up with a different solution. So yeah. I feel like we need to, if you're not embracing and educating yourself on it, then you're gonna be behind. So at FPTV, we are constantly, anytime something comes out, we are able to check it out as a professional development thing. We're like, all right, we're gonna download Topaz, we're gonna run some stuff through it, we're gonna up-res, we're gonna down-res, we're gonna see how it works. We're gonna download Firefly, we're gonna do some generative AI, we're gonna see how that plays in, we're gonna try to composite with that generative AI and see how that, so we are testing the boundaries all the time to know where the limits are, but I'm not gonna run from it. It is the future. Mm-hmm. So, yes, grab it by the tool.
Okay, so great, thank you for that. I know that's on a lot of people's minds, and it's definitely been on mine. So tell us how projects come to you.
people reach out just via, I'm at events and people will approach me and say, hey, I have a project and I'd love to talk to you about it. But you can go to our website, newharvestcreative.com. You can shoot us an email and we will start with an NDA. We will provide you with a mutual NDA so that you feel like your idea is protected. And then that way we're protected because we're not going to steal your idea, but we would love to, and then we start the process. The sooner the better. When nothing is baked yet, it is the easiest to set up the mold so that it will all be healthy. And then short films, there's a couple of different categories. Short films are their own little ecosystem and that's a lot of fun. If you're thinking about making a feature, that's something very different. So I would kind of give a different speech about features than I would about shorts. Shorts are very important, and there's something, but I very often I'll ask people, why are you making this short? And they're like, well, I want to tell a story. And it's like, no, but for your career, why are you making this short? And they're like, I don't know. I just want to make a movie, man. Why are you putting me in the spot?
I thought it would be cool.
The answer is, because shorts don't make money. There's no way to make money with short. So, and you've got people who contributed and you've got your people together, you paid everybody less than they were worth and you were able to make this thing, and what's the point of that? The point of that is to show what you're capable of and lead to what's next. So that when people come to the festival, watch your work on the screen and they ask you, what's next? You should have a really great answer. This is what I'm working on next. And if you like that, you're gonna love this next thing. And here's how you can support me as I'm trying to do it. So that goes for your film community, that goes for the philanthropists that would be willing to support your work, because there are people out there who want to see, who have no idea how films are made. This is fun. There are people who, for them, what we do is magic, absolute magic. And they have checkbooks, and they want to be part of the magic. And if we help them feel like they can be part of the magic, they don't know how we do the stuff, but they want to be involved. And that is how I have been able to connect with those people, help them feel like they're a part of this community, even though they don't know how to do any of it, but they can be the money people who allow us to make these things a reality.
Does New Harvest provide support for that? Because I know a lot of people are just sort of like, I don't know who has money.
We have a proven fundraising technique where we're able, because talking to our people about your project doesn't make as much sense as talking to your people about your project. There are people who want to support you or your topic, whatever your topic is. There are going to be people who want to hear that story told. We want to find those people. And then there's going to be a strategy. Everybody very often goes straight to the crowdsourcing. And you don't go straight to the crowdsourcing. You go straight to your foundational donors, the people who are going to give you that first couple $100, that first $1,000. And then when you've got them in your corner ready to go, then you do the crowdsourcing. Get everybody excited because you know you've got your nest egg and you know you're going to be able to pull it off. You know you're going to be able to have a successful campaign, set your budget, and make it go. And then, I would say, extrapolating your budget early on based on what's in the script, rather than being like, here's my script, and I got $3,000. What can we do? It's like, okay, we're going to have to cut a lot of corners, and but sure, we can make it happen. Instead, I would say, create whatever concept you're doing. Let it flow with no restrictions. Be absolutely creative. Sky's the limit. See what that looks like. And then that's when people can come to us and we can help you figure out probably things that you hadn't even considered. It felt like you needed to blow up the car. But as it turns out, we can do something to where you don't actually have to blow up the car and I just saved you $20,000. So, there are tricks, and the tricks are constantly getting better and better, and so we are able to help people understand how to accomplish their goals that they were able to dream into without even having to worry about money. But then we're able to put a day sheet, a schedule to it. We're able to put the list, the pragmatic list of what it's going to take to pull this thing off, and a schedule that makes it so that everyone is well rested as we are working on this project. So that people aren't just burnt down to the,
And that's really important. Like some of y'all know, like in my day job, I'm a therapist. This is a very kind of, you know, I hate the phrase work-life balance. Is that really a thing? But we're here to enjoy ourselves, right? We're on this little marble for a little while, you know. And I love that y'all bake into your business model. Here's how we're going to ensure that you can live your life, be balanced and healthy and happy, and still create your work.
I like to ask people about themselves before we talk about the work. And Hayden Morris, my editor, sent me a text the other day, or a meme that was like, it's always how's the edit and never how's the editor. is how he felt about other people. He sent that to me because my first thing when I am talking to someone, first I make sure they're okay. Before I talk to you about a technical thing, before I say my microphone doesn't work or whatever the thing is, I'm going to say, how are you? Are you doing okay? Okay, cool. Then I'm going to hit you with the technical thing.
Yeah.
So the people come first, the work comes second, and then we're able to do amazing things together.
I think that's so true, and it's really part of what is so fun about making films in a state like Arkansas, where it's really, you know, we all have the opportunity to get to know each other, and we want to play together. So that kind of, you know, is sort of a follow-on to kind of where I want to take this. I know people are going to want to hear more about the process of working with y'all, and I'll give them an opportunity to ask you anything they want to ask you, but as somebody who has been a part of the film ecosystem in Arkansas in a lot of different capacities for a long time, I would love to hear sort of your thoughts about kind of the state of the state in terms of how you see things. I'd love for you to get into kind of what are some of the big challenges that you see, but also, you know, what are some real strengths that you see that we are capitalizing on or should?
Thank you. I'll start with the strengths. I mean, we know that we have amazing talent and amazing locations. Arkansas is such a wonderful place to produce. People are open to people, you know, filming at their locations. And I mean, we're still, in so many ways, we're still so green when it comes to, yeah, we would love to be a part of that. What I hope for is that we're able to evolve into a place where it feels less like a hobbyist thing and more like a professional thing. There's enough professional structure in place so that locations don't get burned and so that people don't have unrealistic expectations. I mean, we want everything to contribute to the next step. So there are just so many things to consider in the ecosystem. I would say that finding the thing that feels the least like work to you is going to be the first step. That's the thing that's going to make the grind palatable, is the thing that you really enjoy. And then as we work together, then we're going to be able to get you connected with other people who are going to have the specialties that you may not have. Some people are like, I've got to learn how to run cameras because like I've got to shoot my movie. And no, find somebody who's awesome at that. There's somebody who's living and breathing cameras out there who's looking for someone with an idea, and we're going to help you connect with those people. So the ecosystem as it stands is still kind of the way it was. We were hoping for some change, and it hasn't happened yet. So there's still, there's always, at this point, there is a feature film being shot in Arkansas pretty much all the time. They're back to back. There is a crew that works consecutively on those. Our film commissioner is, facilitating those films. And then there's the rest of us. And we're, through our festivals and our community building and our educational initiatives like Inception to Projection, like the NHC initiatives that we have done with the university, there are people who are fostering the next generation of crew, the next group of people who are doing things. I would say it's really important for us as the creatives to be making the best content we can possibly make and get it out there so that people do understand. They start to think of Arkansas. It's like, man, have you seen the films that are coming out of Arkansas? They're incredible. And people are saying that now at other festivals. If you go to other festivals, there's enough good stuff coming out of Arkansas now that we're starting to make a little blip on the radar, and that's very exciting. And then with the feature films that are homegrown, there's, like Enthralled that screened last night, and Good Time Charlie, which is screening tomorrow, right? Tomorrow evening?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow. So those kind of films are doing interesting things. As features, they are fascinating because the whole feature ecosystem right now, the indie feature ecosystem, is kind of foobarred at the moment because of streaming. Even 3 years ago, you could still, with an indie, if you had a finished indie feature that was ready to go, you could get an MG agreement that would cover your reasonable budget. So there was a concept that you could essentially produce something for $250 to $500, you could sell it for $500 to $750. That's a win for the investors, that's a win for the crew, there's a little bit of back end, that's great. Streaming killed that. It's just not happening anymore. And the big companies aren't shopping that way anymore. They're creating enough of their own content that they're not shopping. And if they do see your film and they love it, they're like, yeah, we'll give you like 15 grand for your movie. And it's like, I spent $250,000 on this movie. And it's like, yeah, no, the 15 grand is just an advance, and then we'll get you more later.
Think that's gonna happen?
And all you got was 15 grand for your film. So feature films, the economics of the film industry aren't pretty. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but by and large, what I have found is that the people who are working in that system are working in a system that is an understood loss. By and large, feature films, it's understood that you're gonna lose on more feature films than you're gonna win. As a company that produces or facilitates feature films, you know that 4 out of 5 of them aren't gonna hit. Then when the one hits, you're using the 4 that are a loss as a write-off for the one that hits. So it's all tax, financial, legal games. And who wants to do that? Like, who wants to play tax, financial, legal games?
Anyone?
No one? Really?
No, well, we got
So
one person out here who wants
is-
to play tax, legal, financial games.
And that's what happens when you start, I would just encourage you that when you think, I'm gonna make a feature film and I'm gonna make a bunch of money, then you have to get comfortable with tax, legal, financial games where it's understood that you're gonna lose until you win. So the whole my family's I'm gonna mortgage my house and that'll give me 30 grand and I'm gonna cobble together, 100 grand and I'm gonna make this thing because I should be able to sell this film for 150 grand, right? It just doesn't happen anymore. You have to foster those relationships early. You've got to get the MG agreement going early. It's a giant game. And that's not you making your cool project, which is why short film people win. In the grand scheme of things, you guys are having fun. You're making your products are getting out in the world, and you don't have the IRS and investors breathing down your neck. Because everything costs money when you kick into that caliber. So the people who are swooping into the state and spending between $1 and $13 million, they are part of that system. They are part of a system where it's okay for them to lose money. They're totally cool with that because they're gonna make money somewhere else and then they're gonna use the lost money as a write-off against the money they made.
Wow.
So that is the game, my friends, at this point. And you just being aware of that, I think, helps people have more realistic expectations, and then you can set your goals to really be more fun, because it's like, I know what this is going to be. This is going to be an awesome piece that's going to travel the world through Film Freeway. And people are going to see my piece, they're going to reach out to us on our website and say, your piece changed my perspective on embryos. Your piece changed my perspective on mother-daughter relationships. Your piece changed my perspective on grieving. Like, we're doing the work through the short films and not trying to play what has become, unfortunately, a very exploitive game.
That's actually a really very simple and yet powerful perspective. on kind of short film matters, y'all. I love it so much. At this point, I want to take a beat and see if anyone has questions for Dan at this point.
Yes.
You mentioned creators that want to work with you to have them reach out as early in the process as possible. Is that like just with the genesis of an idea, like before a script, or after a script? What sort of are y'all most wanting when someone comes to you to have?
That's a great question. Thank you. So I love looking at a beat sheet before a script has happened. That is a fun phase. And then being able to kick back and be like, all right, now you've got a couple months, let's crank out a screenplay based on this beat sheet. So beat sheet makes sure that you're going to actually be checking the boxes, that the audience is going to be interested, and that your story is solid. So love seeing a beat sheet before there's a screenplay. Then when there's a screenplay, then we're able to analyze, but it's honestly easier to analyze as a beat sheet than it is as a screenplay. Because then you're not like your eyes kind of get fuzzy with the interiors, exteriors, like you're trying to follow the story and the dialogue's complicated, but the beat sheet shows you the whole layout. So, and then we know the cool stunts and the punchlines that are actually gonna throttle the whole thing. Then we're able to focus the efforts on those punchlines and the things that are really gonna work. And then that can inform the screenplay in a very good way. But then locked screenplay, or mostly locked screenplay, like you feel really good about your idea, where it's at, but you're also still open to, hey, they said I should probably, do sky replacement for this instead of actually waiting for a rainy day. So flexible enough that we're able to help, but at the same time, your idea is baked enough that you're not still in the decision-making process. We want to find out what your artistic, creative decisions are, and we want to make those as awesome as we possibly can. And the thing that makes your film unique, the thing that makes it stand out, your strength, play to your strengths. The thing that you are most awesome at, do that in every movie. Because that's what you're most awesome at. You can try the things you're not awesome at, and that's growing, and that's good. But if you're really trying to progress things, like whatever it is that you're most passionate about, that's what you should be telling the story of, because then you're going to bring an energy that it's going to be really easy for other people to hop onto and facilitate, and everyone's going to know where you're aiming really clearly, and then that's going to make a much stronger product.
Anyone else? Back here.
Do you produce documentaries?
Yes. So I produced my first documentary was the official documentary about Andrew Kilgore, photographer that photographed in Little Rock and in Northwest Arkansas. I did that one in 2014. 10 years later, I had the opportunity to co-produce with Dayvision, with Mike Day and Dayvision, the John L. Colbert documentary about the first African-American superintendent in Arkansas. Really powerful story, and we produced that one last year, and it screened at Bentonville Film Festival, which was an honor.
It also screened here, and it was
screened.
fantastic.
Yes, thank you. We accidentally were the only company in the world that had 2 films at BFF last year.
Wow.
So Abigail Before Beatrice and Colbert, All Students Can Learn, both screened at BFF last year.
Nice.
So yes, documentaries are our jam. Chris Gatrosh, my partner, is an incredible documentary designer. He has done so much documentary work through the university, so we are very versed in producing documentaries.
Honestly, these 2 guys are such a wealth of information. It's incredible. Any other questions right now? Cool.
I've got one more, sorry. Is there a certain experience level you want the creators that you work with to have? Do you work with people that are kind of at all points in the process of on their career, or is it you want to see a portfolio first, or what sort of would y'all go into that?
I would say we're happy to talk to you about what you're doing, whatever stage you're in. I love working with Theodore. Theodore, who did Details Matter. That kid, there he is. Yeah, sorry, you were behind the light. Shout out to Theodore, man. It's incredible to watch this kid grow. So I mean, I am excited to talk to Theodore about his next project because I think we can do some really amazing things together. So yeah, I mean, really for us, it's about the strength of the thing. The Professional, the one that we just finished about a month ago, this was Shelley Malden's first script, and she was a first-time director. But when she brought me the script and I made some suggestions to punch it up, she took the suggestions. And then I served as the first AD, so I was able to drive the team for her, but make sure that her creative vision was being honored. But she got to watch the process and not have to worry about where the ND filters were and what the f-stops were and how we were doing the camera motion and how's audio working. And like, I took all of that off of her plate. And that's the place that I, being able to allow people to fully focus on their creativity and on making their creative vision a reality, not worrying about the other stuff. That's what we love. We are happy to worry about the other stuff for you so that you can do that. And then knowing that someday we're going to be working on something and you can help worry about the stuff for us. It's not like we have a fetish for this. It's more like, it's a mutual, thing of like, hey, knowing this stuff makes the creative process more relaxing because the boxes are checked. I know that when I go into this, I'm going to be able to pull it off and then it's not going to get lost in post. I know a lot of people, I'm going to address this real quick. Production people, I'm speaking of fetishes, production people have a production fetish, right? I mean, they produce, they're done, they go home, they rest. Next week, it's like, I want to be on another set. And they just have that set passion. That's not me. Like, I will be on set, and I enjoy being on set and watching the stuff, but after all that's said and done, there is the process of making it a finished, viewable product. And that process is very valuable and cannot be sound is essential. You've got to make it sound good. Music is essential. The color space matters. It's got to look like your color was a choice. Your color needs to complement your story, whatever it is. So whereas before the biggest gaffe that people were making was sound, I think there are now more sound tools where people's sound is actually better than it used to be. Mm-hmm. Now I feel like the big weak link is color. People need to really study some color theory, look at some things, have some examples of looks that you like. Then when you're making your product, find a way to get to that color space. But the color is what really is one of the things that really sets things off.
Another question. Okay, I have a couple. All right, this will be kind of fun, maybe. Given that mistakes and failures are such rich learning opportunities. No. Yippee skippy, another growth opportunity. We love it. What can you tell us a time that you really fouled something up and it was an enormously valuable learning opportunity, like the thing that was like this turned things for me even though it was a disaster at the time?
Wow. I wasn't ready for that one. The projects.
I just made it up just now, sorry.
That's okay. There have been projects that I have taken 50%, like 70%, like 90%, and they didn't get finished for whatever reason. And it's usually personalities. It boils down to then someone's like, you know what, I can't, I don't want to have to do this anymore, or whatever it is, and then everyone's effort that went into that thing disappears. So that's one of my greatest regrets, is when we get something really close, and usually that it'll die before it goes into actual production, but I put a year into a project last year that then just died.
Oh, wow.
So, laying the groundwork, scouting locations, getting connections, starting the things for fundraising. It was going to be a feature. I went ahead and pushed this thing forward, and then the filmmaker was like, I'm changed my mind.
I changed my mind?
Essentially. I'm going in a different direction, is what he said. And the deal was, he wanted it done faster.
Oh.
It's a patience game. I mean, we were a year into his process, and he was like, I feel like we need to just go into production. It's like, we're not ready. We're not ready to go into production. Well, like, we just gotta. And it was like, you have got to wait. Order of operations is essential. So my regret is when I can't help people understand the patience and the timeline. And it's like, look, I am telling you no to help you, because if we start now, it won't work. Mm-hmm. And I wish you would just believe me. Like, I wish I could be like,
yeah,
here's my watch. Like, believe me.
Like, I'm so serious about this. Please trust me on this.
I know that if we do what you're asking me to do, it's not going to work. From my decade of experience.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I really want to try it. And then that's their growth. That has been a part of my process. Is like, all right, cool. You do that, and you have fun, and you figure it out, and you FAFO, and then come talk to me when you're done. And then when they come back and they're like, Dan, you won't believe what happened.
It's like,
it totally failed.
Shocked.
And I'm like, you know what? I am so sorry. And how can I help you now? Mm-hmm. In the way that I could have helped you before, but how can I help you now? And let's figure it out together, because if it's a strong piece, it needs to get made.
So it's, again, kind of that part of the business model is, okay, if you insist on failing, I'm going to let you, but we're going to fail forward. We're going to learn what we need to learn from this experience.
I had to learn how to not talk people out of their dreams. Like that, I don't want to be that guy, like, it's like, if that's your dream, I want you to make your dream come true. I don't see a path to it. So you have my support and my encouragement. And I'm not going to sign on to your project. If it's like, thank you, I'm going to pass, then I see that there's some growing that needs to be done. If I see a path that gets us there together, then we're going to pursue that.
Awesome. Questions from the audience? Okay. Let's see. What have I not asked you? I feel like there's something. There has to be something. Oh, I know. Okay, can I do one more?
Sure.
So you features, right?
Yes.
We talked a little bit about making a short film. Well, we talked quite a bit about making a short film. And you said features, whole different animal. You've got a couple under your belt now with New Harvest. So tell us how y'all go. What's your approach to making a feature?
At this point, it is now what we're doing, just like full disclosure here, the first thing we're doing is building 30 grand of marketing money into every single feature budget we look at. So when people come to us with a $250,000 feature, we say,
like, what's your marketing budget?
You mean $280,000? Mm-hmm. And they're like, no, 250 is what we're going to do. No, 280. And then if they're like 300, then we're like, great, so that's like 350, right? And that the marketing budget, the company is not going to market your movie. If you're going to make an indie feature, you've got to be your own marketing department. Because whatever licensor, they're not distributors, they're licensors. There's a difference. Someone's going to offer you to, broker your film. I can sell your film to Netflix and Hulu's. I can do these deals for you as a licensor. So you're going to end up running into those people, and those are the people who are going to give you 15 grand for your film, and you're never going to hear from them again. There's this giant pocket that you can just get lost in. And when people are passionate about it and they think like, I'm going to make it on the cheap, like hypothetically, if I could make a feature for $150,000 and then have like a $30,000, I'm under $200,000. That's got to be able to work, right? Someone's got to be out there and say, I will give you money for this film instead of trying to accumulate. Like there's the two paths are either you're going to put it out there and through AVOD or TVOD, you're going to end up slowly earning your money back, or you can get it to a company that will scratch you a check and then they've got the licensing rights. Then it's their job to go out and make a bunch of money with it. So are you going to try to find a way for someone else to make money with your product, or are you going to make the money with your product yourself? And if you're going to do that yourself, you've got to have a marketing budget.
Yeah.
So marketing budgets are the key, but feature films are the most expensive, highest risk endeavor you can go through. All your eggs are in one basket. You're tying up the revenue for 2 years before you're actually able to start working with it. So again, as I started to move into the film investment space and educate myself on how that works, I figured out pretty quickly that it really does take bulk. The people who are doing it do it in bulk. 5 project slates.
Yeah.
The 10 project slates. When you're talking to the people who scratch 7, 8-figure checks, they don't care. They don't care about the story. They don't care about all they care about is the money. And it's like, all right, so how's this? Show me a plan how you're going to take this $10 million and you're going to make these products, and in the end, I'm going to end up with more than $10 million. And if you don't know the answer to that question, they're going to move on. And the person who's going to get that money is the person who's going to be like, I could totally get you $10 million back. And they don't have a plan to get the $10 million back. So, I mean, it's, you know, and then you're like, no, wait, that's, you know, but here we are, and let's find a way to make features. Indie features are really challenging. Being able to find community partners, the community that's going to fall in love with it to begin with, building that fan base, connecting with talent that's willing to work on your feature, like notable talent. That's the big threshold, just so everybody knows. If there's people on your movie poster that people recognize, then you'll get money for your movie. If there's nobody recognizable on your poster, no matter how cool it is, the industry is going to be like, no names, and so Tubi. You get to go to Tubi. Good luck. You're going to do great. Mm-hmm. So the names matter, but you can make friends. You can meet somebody who is a famous actor and say, hey, I'm making a project where I'm looking for someone to play this role. And that person can be like, I've always wanted to play that role. I'm going to call my manager and I'm going to waive my SAG fees and I'm going to come do this thing for 10 grand, even though I'm usually 100. And then you get to have an actual name in your movie. And that's gonna get you places.
Now the money is paying attention to you because you've got a name attached to your project.
That's right. So I tend to build, when I'm building feature budgets, I build the production budget, and then the talent budget is its own thing. That we can find underwriters just for the talent. It's like, it's gonna cost us $350 to make the movie, but we also need 100 grand for, you know, whoever the star is gonna be. And then people will fund the star knowing that that will result in an actual sellable product. But right now, so I have 2 just object lessons. Enthralled, which we watched last night, is with Breaking Glass Pictures. Breaking Glass Pictures is a licensor, distributor, licensor. They are a licensor, and they are getting it out there. It is, you know, you can rent it right now on YouTube Live, and there are multiple Apple TV, Netflix, not Netflix, there are multiple distribution outlets where you can rent that movie. It's out there. Abigail Before Beatrice does not have a distribution home yet. And it's been 2 years. It's been 3 years since it was shot. It's been 2 years that it's...
really? Dang.
Yes.
Wow.
So, I mean, there you have essentially a $300,000 investment that is still waiting for a home. And that's the reality of indie film. And it has Olivia Taylor-Dudley. You know, she's currently doing stuff. Like, it has a name in it. And still, and so I'm working with the production team. We are waiting, we're looking for the right deal. But when we did the initial pass on it and we did not find it a home, then the game changes. Then all of a sudden we have to start doing some marketing for this. We have to get some buzz around it. We have to convince someone why they want to own this property. Because what we don't want to have to do is, you know, put it on Tubi.
Right, right. So we start to see just how valuable a New Harvest creative can be in sort of filling in some of the knowledge and expertise gaps that so many of us have, because, you know, as an art form, film is probably the most commodified. Second maybe to the music industry, but I mean, like, all film at some level is a bit, I mean, it's a business, and so we get in, those of us who are creative get into this to be creative. Do you think that's the biggest? I know we gotta we're gonna give y'all one more chance to ask a question, and then we're gonna wrap it. But is that the biggest knowledge gap of, like if you were gonna advise?
It's interesting that you brought up music and movies, because the mentalities are the same. And having been a performing musician, when you're in a band and your band practices and you get together and you're like, all right, we're gonna play this cool venue and tons of people are gonna come out. What's that actual number? Turns out that number's 25. It's just being aware of the size of your audience. As filmmakers, we're like, man, we're gonna make this film and tons of people are gonna love it. Well, put it on YouTube, and that will give you an exact number of how many people were willing to sit through, and then an exact number of how many people were willing to touch a button in conjunction with your art. And it's small. So doing it for the fame or assuming that tons of people are gonna love my thing, it's being pragmatic about who is this actually gonna speak to, and that's enough. Like, I told my story, I had my fun. I got to go be with my friends, we got to make a product. We made a cool product, we went to the premiere at the Rock City Film Fest, and we got to do the red carpet thing together, and that was awesome. That's the joy, that's the win. Take the win. That's the W right there. Because I talk to people who are in LA. I have my friends out in LA, and they are grinding, and they are miserable, and they are broke. And they're trying to navigate this industry that is flip-flopping all the time. CEOs are getting golden parachutes. People can't pay LA rent. They're having to do everything they can do that isn't movies. We have this opportunity. We're given these gifts, and we get to use our superpowers for good, right? I mean, we get to encourage people and tell good stories. And like, I was sitting in the back watching this last block, and I was crying during the last block. I mean, it's just the emotion that we're able to tap into, the good work we're able to do. I believe that we as creatives are able to shine a mirror for society as to what is happening, but also project a brighter future. We get to tell the story of a brighter future, and we get to live into that story. So that is, I would say, at the core of me as a creative. When I'm writing a piece of music, when I'm producing a film, anything I'm making, I'm hoping and praying that it's going to bring joy to someone's life. And that is why I do what I do. So that's how I stay optimistic.
I think that's a fantastic note to end on. Dan, thank you so much for giving us your time and also your talent. As he said, 4 of his films are screening here this weekend. So check him out. Dan Robinson with New Harvest Creative. Thank you. Y'all, get with Dan. You're going to stick around with us, right?
Yes, yeah.